Welcome back to another insightful video on my channel. My name is Syra, and today I'm diving deep into secrets of connection that changed how I see relationships. Almost unfair. Here is something that most people will never tell you about relationships and attraction. A mature woman, one who has lived life fully, does not fall in love with mere words or empty promises anymore. She has read every sweet text message that promised the world. She has sat through every candlelit dinner where a man desperately tried too hard to say the right thing just to impress her. Words stopped impressing her a long time ago because she knows they are cheap and fleeting. What actually moves her deeply is something far more primal and instinctual, genuine, meaningful touch that speaks to her soul. But not just any random touch, not the clumsy, grabby, awkward, I saw this in a movie once kind of touch that feels forced and insincere. No, I am talking about specific, highly psychologically touches that communicate profound things words simply cannot express or capture. A sense of deep safety, tender care, and raw desire, all conveyed without ever opening your mouth or saying a single syllable. A renowned psychologist at UC Berkeley conducted a groundbreaking study where complete strangers were asked to communicate complex emotions purely through brief, deliberate touches on the forearm, with absolutely no words allowed and no facial expressions permitted, just the power of touch alone. And astonishingly, people could accurately identify emotions such as heartfelt gratitude, love, and genuine sympathy at rates well above random chance, in some cases exceeding 70% accuracy. If you have ever wondered in frustration why some men seem to effortlessly make women feel deeply connected and drawn to them on an emotional level, while others try absolutely everything in their power, grand gestures, fancy dates, endless flattery, and still end up getting hit with the dreaded friend speech or polite rejection, this right here is your definitive answer. It is not remotely about what clever things they say or how witty their lines are. It truly is about how they touch and connect physically in meaningful ways. And a woman who has been through enough real-life experiences, heartbreaks, and growth to know exactly what she wants and deserves in a partner responds to this primal language of touch on an entirely different, more profound level than someone younger, like a woman in her carefree 20s still figuring things out. Before we dive deeper into these transformative 7 touches that can change everything, you absolutely need to know something important. 2 of them might seem so incredibly simple and basic at first glance that you will be strongly tempted to dismiss or overlook them entirely. Please do not make that mistake. Those particular ones are the exact touches that mature women have specifically confided in me, and others make them feel intense, inexplicable emotions they struggle to even put into words. And the very last touch on this powerful list, number 7, possesses such a profoundly strong psychological and emotional effect that professional relationship therapists actively prescribe it as a targeted intervention to struggling couples teetering right on the edge of painful separation and divorce, precisely because scientific evidence shows that longer, more intentional, affectionate hugs can measurably reduce harmful stress hormones like cortisol while boosting vital bonding hormones like oxytocin in the body. The first touch I want to reveal is what I call the slow lower back guide, a subtle move with massive impact. When you place your hand gently and deliberately on the small of a woman's back, perhaps while gracefully walking her through a doorway, carefully guiding her through a bustling crowd at an event, or simply standing beside her during a social gathering, you are precisely contacting one of the more sensitive, incredibly nerve-dense areas of the human body that has direct, intimate links with the brain's core emotional processing centers. A slow, confident, warmly reassuring hand placed right there sends an immediate, powerful signal straight to her subconscious that completely bypasses all rational logic and overthinking. Speed and pressure are absolutely crucial here and often make all the difference. A quick, casual pat feels utterly impersonal, like a stranger's brush by. A heavy, forceful push comes across as controlling or domineering, but a slow, steady, warm, intentional placement of your full open palm with just the perfect amount of gentle pressure to convey, "I am here fully present and I am keenly aware of you in this moment," can powerfully trigger what experts call a deep protective bonding response deep within her. In that instant, her entire nervous system instinctively reads it as profound safety and security, while her brain begins rapidly associating your steady presence with a profound sense of inner calm and peace. A mature woman who has spent countless years being the unbreakable strong one for everyone around her, handling crises solo and serving as her own fierce protector against life's storms, feels something truly deeper and more resonant in that one quiet, confident gesture. It silently, powerfully communicates, "You do not have to shoulder and carry the entire weight of the world completely alone right now in this shared space." And remarkably, that single, thoughtful act can feel infinitely more romantic, genuine, and heart-melting to her than an extravagant bouquet of 100 perfect roses ever could. The second touch is the two-handed handhold, and let me tell you, it is criminally underrated and underutilized in modern dating. Sure, most average people hold hands casually from time to time. Honestly, that is not remotely special or memorable on its own. What I am specifically describing and recommending is something far more intimate and intentional. When you first take her hand softly in yours and then bring your other free hand over to fully cradle and envelop it, so both of your warm hands are now completely holding and surrounding just one of hers. Perhaps during an engaging, heartfelt conversation, in a tender, quiet moment of shared silence, or immediately right after she has bravely opened up and shared something deeply personal and vulnerable with you. This particular touch works its magic so effectively because when both of your hands become fully engaged and enveloping hers in this balanced way, it generates a unique kind of symmetrical, rhythmic sensory input that her sophisticated brain instantly interprets as your complete, unwavering, full attention and genuine emotional presence in the now. So when you intentionally hold her hand securely yet tenderly with both of yours while maintaining steady eye contact as she speaks from the heart, you are subconsciously giving her something truly rare and precious that she may have long stopped believing even existed anymore in this distracted world. Your full, undivided, completely embodied attention that says she matters entirely. After enduring years upon years of half-hearted, superficial affection from distracted partners whose bodies were physically present at the dinner table, but whose wandering minds were elsewhere, obsessed with their phones, buried in work emails, or lost in trivial distractions like fantasy football leagues, that stark, refreshing contrast alone can electrify her entire nervous system and make her inner voice emphatically declare, "This one is profoundly different from all the rest." And once a discerning, mature woman's perceptive mind firmly decides and locks in that you stand out as truly different, good luck to every other competing man who now suddenly finds himself hopelessly playing eternal catch-up from behind. Touch number 3 is honestly the one that catches most women completely and delightfully off guard every single time. What I call the simple yet profound forehead touch. And no, I do not mean a quick, superficial forehead kiss at all, though we will circle back to something similar later on. Instead, I mean the deeply intentional act of gently, slowly pressing your own forehead softly and steadily right against hers, so your foreheads are now intimately touching, eyes naturally closing in unison, your shared breathing subtly syncing up into a harmonious rhythm, while the noisy, chaotic world around you both fades into complete, blissful quiet. This might initially sound deceptively simple or overly basic, but trust me, the immense psychological and emotional weight carried by this one elegant gesture is truly enormous and game-changing. Leading researchers who rigorously study adult attachment dynamics and deep human bonding frequently discuss what they term bonding moments. Those tiny, priceless micro-interactions that powerfully activate the innate attachment system within fully grown adults in precisely the same primal way that a nurturing caregiver's soothing touch instinctively activates it within vulnerable infants seeking comfort. The forehead touch stands out as one of the single most potent and effective bonding moments that any two consenting adults can intimately share together. Why does it pack such unbelievable punch? Because it demands real, mutual vulnerability from both participants right from the start. You simply cannot press your forehead meaningfully against someone else's effectively from across a crowded room. To make it happen authentically, you both have to draw physically very close together, intentionally slow everything way down to savor the moment. For a resilient, mature woman who has strategically spent years meticulously building towering emotional walls sky high specifically to block out and deflect most of the toxic nonsense, manipulations, and disappointments the harsh world has relentlessly thrown her way over time, this particular touch lands like a soft, respectful, quiet knock precisely on a long-forgotten door she did not even realize still existed deep inside. It never demands entry forcefully. It refuses to escalate aggressively into anything more. It simply, beautifully declares through pure presence, I am right here fully committed with you in this exact instant, and truly, positively nowhere else in the universe matters. And any confident man capable of executing this flawlessly, without anxiously rushing through it, without clumsily twisting it into premature something sexual, and crucially without nervously shattering the sacred silence with an awkward joke simply because the raw intimacy starts, feeling too uncomfortably real, has just non-verbally communicated vastly more sophisticated emotional intelligence, empathy, and maturity than what the vast majority of people manage to demonstrate authentically over an entire drawn-out relationship. Touch number 4 is the intriguing back of the neck touch, an area I almost hesitated to include publicly because of just how ridiculously effective and potent it proves in real-world practice. I feel like I am literally handing out unbeatable cheat codes at this point to those who truly get it. Objectively speaking, the delicate nape of the neck ranks as one of the single most sensitive, erogenous, and inherently vulnerable areas anywhere on the entire human body, absolutely packed end to end with ultra-responsive nerve endings primed for heightened sensation. And because evolutionarily, it represents a spot that people biologically cannot easily see behind themselves or swiftly protect on instinct, even lightly touching it generates an explosive, immediate spike in both sizzling physical arousal and simultaneous deep interpersonal trust all at once. That rare, perfect dual combination, igniting desire while building security, is extraordinarily uncommon. Sadly, most everyday touches only manage to trigger one effect or the other, but never both powerfully together like this one does seamlessly. When an attuned man gently, respectfully places just his fingertips or his full open palm on the exposed back of a woman's slender neck, maybe while casually sitting right beside her on a couch or thoughtfully leaning in closer to whisper something private and meaningful, her sharp, analytical brain launches into a lightning-fast, subconscious three-part evaluation sequence. Am I truly safe right now in this vulnerable position? Do I genuinely trust this specific person not to misuse this access? And above all, does this intimate contact fundamentally feel good and right on every level? If her honest answers to all three critical questions land firmly as a resounding yes, then the raw emotional and physiological response kicks in almost instantaneously, overwhelmingly positive. Her breathing pattern noticeably deepens and slows, her pupils dramatically dilate with interest, and on a neurochemical level, powerful surges of dopamine for pleasure and reward combined with oxytocin for bonding release in perfect tandem harmony, which happens to be the precise molecular cocktail scientifically responsible for forging those unbreakable threads of true romantic attachment that last. Here is where a woman's hard-earned maturity truly shines and amplifies everything. A less experienced younger woman might breeze right past the profound significance of this nuanced touch without fully registering it consciously, but a perceptive, battle-tested mature woman immediately senses and decodes exactly what that precise touch masterfully communicates on multiple layers. Rock-solid confidence delivered entirely without a hint of aggression, burning desire expressed purely without a trace of pathetic desperation, and comfortable familiarity offered boldly without any presumptuous overreach or entitlement. It stands as one of the most sophisticated, high caliber touches any discerning man can confidently offer in his arsenal. However, a vital word of extreme caution remains non negotiable, though. Flawless timing truly is everything with this advanced technique. You categorically cannot just boldly walk up to a woman you literally just met 5 minutes ago and attempt to touch the back of her neck. That would not register as remotely romantic or charming. No, that scenario veers straight into highly inappropriate territory that could easily end with a police report for unwanted advances. This elite touch only unlocks its full romantic potential precisely because it arrives organically after substantial mutual trust has already been solidly established over time through consistent actions. Fundamentally, it functions as a natural, elegant progression in intimacy, never a risky shortcut or gimmick, and any mature woman worth pursuing will intuitively know, feel, and discern that critical difference immediately without hesitation. Touch number 5 stands out boldly as the thumb stroke, the particular technique I highlighted earlier as feeling almost unfairly powerful and stacked in your favor once mastered. It activates seamlessly when you are already comfortably holding her hand naturally, or when your hand rests casually, yet intentionally on her soft arm, her relaxed shoulder, or even her knee during conversation, and without ever making a big show or drawing any attention whatsoever to the motion, your thumb begins to slowly, hypnotically move back and forth directly against her warm skin in small, deliberate, unhurried rhythmic strokes that build subtle intensity. Crucially, you never announce it verbally. You deliberately avoid glancing down at your hand self-consciously. You simply execute it fluidly while seamlessly continuing whatever engaging conversation you both happen to be immersed in at that moment. This genius subtlety works its profound magic thanks to a highly specialized class of unmyelinated nerve fibers scientifically named C-tactile afferents, or CT afferents for short, which evolution wired specifically to respond most intensely and optimally to precisely this kind of slow, gentle, caressing, stroking touch rather than fast or rough contact. These unique fibers connect directly and efficiently to key regions in the brain dedicated to processing deep emotional connection, social bonding, and subjective feelings of warmth toward others. Pioneering researchers at the University of Gothenburg in Sweden conducted rigorous experiments confirming that this exact type of slow, mindful stroking reliably activates the insular cortex, a critical brain region squarely responsible for generating those exquisite feelings of true intimacy, emotional closeness, and affectionate warmth between people. Put simply into everyday terms, when your thumb glides slowly, rhythmically across her receptive skin in this understated way, you are literally, neurologically activating and lighting up the precise part of her advanced brain that instinctively compels her to feel irresistibly close to you on every level. And because the entire execution stays so whisper subtle and under the radar, she likely will not even consciously register or clock exactly what masterful micro-action you are performing in real time. Yet her primal body responds viscerally without fail, and her subconscious emotional core absolutely registers the signal loud and clear. Consequently, she progressively starts feeling magnetically drawn toward you in a potent, building way she might struggle to even articulate fully in words afterward. This explains precisely why I labeled it almost unfair from the outset. Because when a worldly, mature woman encounters and absorbs this during interaction, especially one who has endured years navigating relationships where genuine affection felt either overly performative, like scripted acting, or painfully absent altogether, that one small, seemingly absent-minded, natural-feeling thumbstroke hits differently and makes her reflective inner monologue shift dramatically to something like, "He does not even fully realize on a conscious level that he is doing this magical thing so effortlessly. This tender intimacy flows from him as his authentic default nature." And remarkably, that empowering belief, that your profound tenderness emerges as completely effortless and innate rather than some calculated manipulative ploy, represents the precise psychological spark that truly makes her heart and mind fall deeply, authentically, and irrevocably. Not through over the top grand gestures that scream for attention, not via flashy, expensive gifts that buy temporary favor, but through this one unconscious, gentle, rhythmic movement of your thumb casually unfolding while you both chat about something utterly ordinary and everyday. That raw authenticity embodies exactly what mature, discerning love genuinely feels like to a woman who has already witnessed, endured, and seen through every other superficial alternative life through her way. Touch number 6 carries the evocative name I coined, the silent pull, a non-verbal move brimming with quiet authority. This pivotal moment unfolds naturally when you find yourself sitting cozily beside her on a couch or standing casually next to her in a relaxed setting and entirely without uttering a single word or giving any verbal cue whatsoever. You simply reach over confidently and gently, pull her body subtly closer toward yours in a seamless motion. Perhaps your strong arm drapes fluidly around her shoulders before drawing her in snugly, or maybe your hand intuitively locates the curve of her waist and effortlessly closes the lingering gap existing between your two bodies, all executed with zero announcement like a cheesy, "come here, baby," purely through instinctive, wordless movement alone. This masterful touch leverages a foundational principle straight from established attachment theory known as proximity seeking, which behavioral scientists identify as one of the primary instinctual hallmarks signaling a healthy, secure emotional bond between partners. In essence, securely attached individuals naturally, compulsively harbor an innate desire to minimize and eliminate unnecessary physical distance, separating themselves from the person they cherish deeply. By pulling her subtly closer without waiting to be asked or prompted, you mirror flawlessly what a securely attached, intuitive partner executes effortlessly as second nature every day. Through pure, decisive action rather than talk, you declare boldly yet tenderly, "The empty space that existed between us moments ago suddenly felt far too vast and wrong somehow. I wanted you physically nearer to me right this instant." For countless women navigating life over roughly 35 or 40 years and beyond, who have invested those decades quietly, feeling they perpetually had to desperately earn every scrap of emotional or physical closeness through constant performance, who endured dynamics where they stayed attractive enough, agreeable enough, endlessly accommodating enough just to supposedly deserve basic affection on offer, this touch lands with profound, rewriting force. Many carried scars from past relationships where any semblance of physical closeness only materialized conditionally whenever the other person selfishly wanted something specific in return: sex, validation, convenience, control. Therefore, when a grounded, intentional man pulls her in close simply, purely because he genuinely craves her presence near him in that moment, not as a calculated prelude to escalating intimacy, not as performative showmanship for some invisible audience, but authentically just because the distance itself felt intuitively incorrect and unbearable, it fundamentally rewrites the painful, self-limiting story she internalized and repeated to herself silently for endless years about her worthiness. And if somehow you remain skeptical about whether that depth of nonverbal affirmation qualifies as powerful enough to make even the strongest woman fall irrevocably in love, then clearly you have never personally witnessed, or better yet, created, the transformative sight of a supremely confident, professionally accomplished, fiercely self-sufficient mature woman visibly, blissfully melting sideways into the solid frame of a man who just wordlessly, instinctively pulled her protectively closer midway through something as mundane and ordinary as watching a casual movie together on the couch. Touch number 7 crowns the list as the long-hold hug, the absolute powerhouse I deliberately saved for last because it singularly carries more profound psychological, emotional, and biological weight than literally everything else combined on this entire transformative roster. Make no mistake, this demands precision. This is not some rushed quick squeeze lacking substance, not the superficial back-patting buddy hug reserved for casual acquaintances, certainly not the half-committed one-armed side hug that awkwardly signals, "I acknowledge your physical existence here, but honestly, would rather not fully commit or engage with this intimacy." No, I mean a complete enveloping full-body embrace utilizing both strong arms wrapped securely chest to chest in close alignment that deliberately, mindfully lasts a minimum of at least about 20 full seconds to unlock its peak effects. And yes, that specific duration number proves far from arbitrary. Rigorous research published directly in the prestigious journal Psychoneuroendocrinology scientifically demonstrated that hugs enduring 20 seconds or significantly longer reliably trigger a massive, measurable release of oxytocin, the master bonding hormone essential for trust and connection, while simultaneously slashing levels of cortisol, the notorious primary stress hormone ravaging modern lives. Biologically speaking, this means a properly executed long hug transcends feel-good fluff. It literally rewires her stress response at a cellular level. Her elevated heart rate progressively slows to a peaceful rhythm, her spiking blood pressure steadily drops toward baseline calm, and crucially, her overactive nervous system shifts gears dramatically from chronic sympathetic activation, better known as the exhausting fight-or-flight survival mode, directly into restorative parasympathetic dominance, aka rest and digest, the optimal physiological state where genuine bonding, vulnerability, and emotional openness finally become not just possible but profoundly amplified. This hard science explains precisely why seasoned relationship therapists worldwide prescribe these extended hugging protocols as one of their most reliable, clinically validated interventions for couples trapped in cycles of crisis, disconnection, and eroding trust. Dr. John Gottman himself, whose landmark longitudinal research on what predicts marital success or failure spans over 4 grueling decades with thousands of real couples, has repeatedly recommended prolonged physical holding as among the most potent, accessible tools available for systematically rebuilding shattered emotional trust between estranged partners facing the brink. Importantly, this stands not as vague metaphor, fluffy feel-good suggestion, or pop psychology hype. It qualifies as a rigorously tested, clinically supported intervention backed by decades of peer-reviewed data. Now, here lies the razor-sharp reason why this final touch matters exponentially more specifically for a mature woman. By the time any discerning woman reaches her seasoned 40s, resilient 50s, or wise years beyond, she has almost inevitably weathered brutal waves of profound personal loss, shattering heartbreak from trusted betrayals, bone-deep loneliness she rarely voiced aloud to anyone, and countless other unseen battles that forged her unbreakable armor. Necessity forced her to evolve into her own unbreakable support system because external ones repeatedly failed when counted upon most. Yet when you, as that rare intentional man, wrap your reassuring arms fully around precisely that battle-hardened woman and hold on firmly, not releasing after a perfunctory polite 2-second pat, but committing to a full, unhurried, utterly genuine multi-second embrace that non-verbally declares with unwavering certainty, "I remain right here holding steady. I am not letting go even slightly until you feel fully ready and safe again." Something seismic and uncontrollable shifts irrevocably deep inside her guarded core. Every towering wall she meticulously constructed over decades for survival, every razor-sharp defense mechanism she perfected through painful trial and error, every hyper-vigilant instinct screaming at her to stay perpetually guarded against fresh hurt, all of it measurably, mercifully softens in that extended hold, not because she suddenly reveals hidden weakness. No, far from it. But because, for truly the first time in what feels like an eternity of constant solo striving, she receives explicit permission to exhale, to release the iron grip just a little, and stop single-handedly holding her entire universe perpetually together if only for one sacred, restorative moment. Honestly, that unparalleled relief, the profound gift of granted space to simply exist without armor, emerges as the single most powerful, life-altering thing any human touch can ever deliver to another soul. Become the intentional man who offers true presence. She won't just fall for you, she'll choose you daily with her guarded heart. These 7 touches, rooted in neuroscience and real women's experiences, are only half the game. Mature women send clear signals of interest you'll miss at your peril. Learn her signs now to catch every moment, or waste it all. Act fast.